captain's log, and apologies in advance, I'm a little bit sick. But I wanted to talk today about the early access level that we've just completed. We're going to be talking about why make a level like this, which might be obvious to some people. But if you're not necessarily a developer, or maybe you haven't shipped too many titles, maybe this might be useful, and maybe just have some hints about how we've approached it for our game. We did debug Nottingham last month, and at the time of recording we've just got back from Guildford Games, which was a really good time. It was really good to get the feedback from both of these events, and it really kind of solidified like why we did this in the first place. So why did we do it? The game was in a really good place around summer of last year. I think I kind of said this before in the videos. It was a really good place, and we felt like now is the time to do this all important vertical slice. A vertical slice is a polished single section of the game that people can play knowing that that's kind of where the game is going. Like, that's where everything will be when it's completed. This can be really helpful because when you're in development, people have got to forgive a lot of things. Like, yeah, maybe that's not a final asset, or the UX here is going to be improved as we continue development. So a vertical slice is supposed to be a completed and polished section of the game that doesn't require those like affordances. The problem with a real-time strategy game, though, or at least the problem that we feel like we've come across with, is that to make a vertical slice, the game kind of has to be done. A rollback in comparison maybe to other game types. So if you're making, let's say, like a platformer, I don't know who's making a platformer. Hands up if you're making a platformer in the year 2024. You might just make like one or two like sets of mechanics and throw them into a level which kind of shows those, and you might be able to get away with not a huge amount of development in comparison. Whereas to start this early access or this vertical slice, we've kind of had to build a lot of how the game actually works, but at the same time, going through that building process helped us refine what we wanted the early access to be. So it was kind of a good crossover. The knowledge that we've gained from making the game helped us make a better level. That was a really long way of saying that it took us a long time to get there. So the process obviously started with like a concept design. We decided that we didn't have a good enough showing of where the game was versus where it was before when we were making levels. We'd made some levels that were really old and were just initial kind of concepts of what we wanted the game to kind of be like, but because it had moved on so much, like we wanted this new vertical slice to really reflect where it is now. As normal with these kind of things, usually what starts this process is us sitting down and deciding that that's what we want to do, and then I'll go away and I'll write up some kind of document of what I think the goal should be, and then other people might do the same thing, and we'll compare notes, and then we'll usually come to a conclusion. One of the interesting bits of decision making that happened during this time was the decision that we were really interested in doing this level on planet. So for those who don't know, Territorial, certainly up to this point, had never been on planet. Like, our levels were always in space, and really the game was built around multiplayer in space. So this was a completely new thing for us, but we wanted to give it a go because with this vertical slice, we started thinking, well, after this, what will the campaign look like? And I've always liked the idea of on planet, like Star Trek away missions, and it would be really hard to do that, or very like maybe minimalist to do that if we couldn't actually go onto the planet. So we all decided for whatever reason that we wanted to sign up for the pain of creating an on planet and wondering what would that mean? Like, how would we do it? And we were very inspired by looking at StarCraft and the kind of way that they did their on-planet stuff. So we designed an on-planet level, and it was so much easier than a multiplayer level because you could make walls and you can make things that they can't pass, which actually makes sense because obviously in space you could just fly around them. So it was actually way easier to make the level design, and Assad was really good here. He did us a diagram, I think on Miro or Figma or something, and I'll show you roughly what that looks like, which isn't entirely dissimilar to what we ended up with. And I think this is just from knowledge of strategy games and what he would have liked to have played. Meanwhile, we started doing a first pass of the on-planet stuff. We started messing around with Unity terrain, trying to see how that might work, because obviously we doubted that there would be much interaction between the terrain and our ships, because our ships are flying, right? So we didn't imagine that we'd have to worry too much about hitting the bottom of it or whatever. So the terrain didn't matter too much. It was more of like a look. But the walls, we were just considering what we wanted them to look like. And we just played around with generally what we wanted on planet to feel like. And it felt good. So it basically gave us the green light to continue. So then we went into the first pass, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how we actually make levels. So in Territorial, we have a custom built mission manager, right? And that is how our levels come together. And the mission manager is broken into missions, which is the full level. And each mission is kind of broken down into the individual tasks that form that mission. So you might have like 20 different tasks that we're going to ask you to do, and you put them into the mission, based on, you know, what task type and stuff it is. And then you play down that list, right? So you have like 20 different mission tasks. You're playing down the list one by one. When you start or end a task, you might have a cutscene, and that is done with the timeline, so Unity's timeline. We've got a bunch of different cutscenes that is just kind of moving the camera around or something like that, showing the characters moving from one location to another, etc. There are hundreds of cameras in each of the levels, just because we're moving around. Like you have maybe 3 to 4 cameras per cutscene most of the time. We really enjoyed using Cinemachine cameras for this. It's been like an ongoing learning process the entire time. Most of us are, you know, mildly experienced with using cameras in real life, and starting to do that in game in a better way with real actual characters was great. After we'd completed working with the mission manager and creating all the different tasks and all the cutscenes, we finished up this first iteration, and we were using these little capsules for the characters for a little while, but we finally were able to replace them with real characters a little bit further down the line. With this kind of grey box looking level complete, I managed to then wave in the art department, who once again came in to make our game significantly prettier. You know, like, you can't really imagine this level possibly working without this art pass, and for how long they really had to do it, I think this must have been done within like 2 to 3 weeks or something. Like, they were really, really fast. And that's not even talking about the ships and all of the new units that they were building at this time as well. Like, yeah, they did a really good job of all of these. So the second iteration was mostly a visual one. There were some tasks and things that were maybe like slightly broken, or maybe there was like an order of execution problem, but most of it was a visual pass. So with the visual pass completed, we were able to go into the final, and this was when, again, like, the artists were really unlocked. They managed to do some slightly more advanced like props. One of them I quite like is the spawner, which like kicks into life, and you can see it like animating, and like it kind of hypes you up as a player to like want to destroy it, which I know, it looks really nice. We also did some like baby little scripts, like this script that dictates, you know, who's in the ship at the time, because the ship model had all 3 characters in it in like different iterations. So just a little baby script that just tells you who's supposed to be in the ship. With the level complete around December of 2023, we stepped away for a moment, and then when we came back, it was just all about tutorialization and trying to make this as easy to read as possible. We chucked in 2 different tutorialization kind of elements. So there's this pop-up video that is supposed to show you what to do, and then there's this pop-up image which is supposed to kind of reiterate the buttons and things that you want to press, like a reminder. Now, that's not to say there aren't problems with these, both of them. In fact, we've kind of considered where we might be able to go a little bit further with the design of both of these, but as a first attempt, I think they were reasonably good, and they help people who've never played an RTS before. They've certainly never played it on like a controller before. They've been really helpful. I kind of just also miss the fact that we did a whole bunch of new menus, a whole bunch of new animations using something called Feel. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that for another video, because I could easily talk about that for like another half an hour just on its own. Finally, we've been showing this for a little while, but we did complete the first half of the opening animation for the game. That's been the trailer that's been circling around for a little while, and we've used it in quite a lot of our content. But as of the point that I'm recording this today, we've actually almost finished the second half of it now as well. Christoph, our main animator and 3D artist, has been doing a really good job of just, you know, head down working on this pretty much non-stop for like 3 months, 4 months or something like that. So yeah, no, congratulations, Christoph. It looks absolutely amazing. So with the feedback that we've received from Debug and Guildford and wherever else we've showed it, it's been really good. Like, people like what we're trying to do. It could be better. Like, there are things that we can do to make the experience of playing a bit better, make it really engaging. So far, because this is just the first level, so it's quite easy. And so people finish this level and then they jump from, you know, this really easy tutorialized level onto the arcade mode, which is incredibly challenging. It's like an endless mode, which will just smack you down within about 3 minutes. So obviously at the moment, there's a little bit of a curve that we're still trying to manage. This will hopefully get solved as we create more levels. Like, that's definitely the plan now, is make more content, make more levels, so that people can have that training so that they're able to then access the higher level of play. The best feedback we've definitely received is in relation to our characters, like, by far. People love the animations, they love seeing the characters in game. I think it's also helped with like our narrative disconnect that we had in the game before this point. So we had a narrative and we had a game, but they weren't really linked. And now they are, now that they're properly linked. You are playing, you know, as these characters performing these feats. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes next, because it's really exciting. It's amazing to work on. And if this sounds like anything you might even be slightly interested in, then we have socials, we have a Discord. Join our Discord. Sometimes we share things like long before we make videos about them. I'm like Captain Leak over there. I drop videos without asking anyone all the time. So yeah, come on by our Discord, follow us on socials, and I don't know, like the video or something, like whatever you need to do. I don't know what works. All I know is that if I can get more than like 20 views on this thing, I'll be happy. Okay, peace, bye.